Hello friends, welcome back. My name is Mel and welcome to my messy shelves. So Christmas is now over and it is getting into the first half of 2024 and it's time for me to do an unhaul because I can't get all of the books that I decided to spree on after Christmas and all of the wonderful gifts that I got on my shelves. So we are going to be doing an unhaul with me. I'm going to be going through shelf by shelf with you guys and pulling off the ones that I am just not really into that much anymore. Either I've read and I didn't love or I'm no longer interested in. We're going to get them off of the shelf so I can make room for all of the new and exciting things that I want to read in 2024. So we're at this top shelf up here. Ignore these because these are books that are going on the shelves. So up here starts my fantasy romance shelf. At the moment, this is mostly Jennifer Armentrout and I don't want to get rid of them right now. I'm debating on DNFing the From Blood and Ash series, so I could end up potentially unhauling these at some point, but for now I have not committed to that, so I'm gonna leave those. I have not read yet the Daughter of No World series by Carissa Broadbent, but this is a series that I have not heard people that I trust that loved Serpent love that series, so I'm a little bit concerned that I'm not going to want to keep those, but until I try the first book, I don't want to get rid of those either. Then we have Serpent, which we will not be getting rid of, and we have the Amanda Boucher series, which are not in the right order. Right now, I don't think I'm going to get rid of those either. I liked the first book. I didn't love it, but I do think I'm going to keep those for now. So let's scoot over a shelf. Okay, so now you can't see these top shelves quite as well, but I will walk you through them. These are still fantasy romance shelves, and I did buy the Wings Once Cursed and Bound by Piper J. Drake at Barnes & Noble, and I thought that I was going to like this, but I haven't heard the most amazing reviews from it yet, and I don't really have the pull to it. So I think I'm going to currently take it off the shelves and it be like a soft unhaul. I may end up putting this back on my shelves at some point, but for now I think I'm going to pull this one off. Okay, then we have a couple of SM Gaither. We have Charlene Harris, which I'm not getting rid of. The Elise Kovas, which I'm not getting rid of. Yeah, now we get into Sarah J. Maas, so we're not getting rid of any of those. I'm looking over at the next shelf, which you guys can't really see right now, but there are some Atlanta Pekekaric, which are the Fae Guardians series. I own 2 of those. They are all on KU, and while I liked the first 2, I was really struggling with the third one, so I think I'm going to unhaul those 2 and continue the series on KU. And if I really like them and continue to love the series, there actually are really pretty hardcovers that are like illustrated hardcovers that I might pick up instead of those. So I think I'm going to unhaul those as well. So now still a fantasy romance shelf. This has my KJ Sutton. I do like this series. I do want to finish out this series, so I think I'm going to keep those for now. But then we move on to a couple of Laura Thalassa. I read Bewitched before the Goodreads Choice Awards, but I didn't love this one. It is set in the same world as The Bargainer. I liked The Bargainer a little bit more. Don't absolutely love this one, so I think I'm going to unhaul this. These are my Carrie Marie Moaning, which are my Pride, Joy, and Sweet Babies. We're not going to get rid of those, as well as the J.R. Wards. These are just nostalgia books for me. I will not ever be getting rid of those. So moving on to the next shelf. So this next shelf is really, really messy. It's got my indie as well as the last remaining little bit of my fantasy romance on here. So we do have the last little bit of J.R. Ward, not getting rid of those. The Rebecca Yarros, not getting rid of those. I'm debating on whether or not to unhaul Lore Olympus because I don't think I'm going to continue in that series, but it's just pretty and it's an expensive book, so I am unsure about that one. But for now, I do think that I'm going to soft unhaul it just like I did the other fantasy romance, and we're going to pull it off the shelf and put it in the closet, which is not like a full unhaul but like a off my main shelves unhaul. Really messy stacks of indie fantasy, which we're going to move over here, and we're going to look and see. I don't think that there's any indie fantasy right now that I really want to unhaul. For the most part, I think all of these on here were either sent to me by authors that I do plan to keep and try, or read and liked these. So this shelf and this next one, I don't think that there's anything on those that I plan to unhaul. So let's move down to the next fantasy shelf. Okay, so this starts at my like traditionally published fantasy. I do have a couple of like messy things on here. We will fix this. We will organize this. But we've got my Daniel Abrams, which are the hardcovers that Maria sent me. I haven't tried that series yet, so I'm going to keep those. I'm going to keep the First Law series. I want to try the book 2 of the Inden Saga, which is the Justin Lee Anderson, so I think I'm going to keep those. But Spine of the Dragon and Venge War, I think I'm going to unhaul. I really wanted to love Spine of the Dragon, but just didn't love it, and Venge War, I'm not going to read because I didn't love Spine of the Dragon. So I think that I am going to unhaul these two. And then we have The Bear and the Nightingale. I really should get rid of those because I did not love them, but there's something about them that just I want to keep. I do think I may unhaul Over the Woodward Wall by Deborah A. Baker. I don't plan to continue on in this series despite really enjoying this book. I don't know. I may keep it just because it's kind of an expensive little novella, and that way if I did ever decide to continue, I would have them. Yeah, I think I am going to keep that one for now. Okay, let's move on to this next fantasy shelf. We have a couple of Libby Blakes, which for now I'm going to keep. I do think I may unhaul, though, One for My Enemy, which I just recently read and did not love. So I think I'm going to get rid of that one, but I am going to keep Masters of Death because I haven't read it yet. The Liber Braves I'm going to keep. For now, I'm going to keep the Black Coast series, but I very well could be getting rid of those in the near future because I only have Godbreaker left, but I really didn't like Splinter King. And so I'm like, if I didn't like this one and I'm not in any hurry to pick up the final, should I even keep them? But I haven't fully committed to that thought yet. So Jim Butcher, we're definitely keeping. Marked, we're keeping just for nostalgia purposes. So I don't think there's anything else on this shelf to get rid of. So let's slide down a little bit further. So on this shelf, you're not going to be able to see me because I would be squatting. But on this shelf, I don't really see anything that I'm just like dying to unhaul. Actually, I see one and Maria is going to kill me. But I can't really get the copy of this anymore in this version. So I do plan to continue in the series. But for now, I am going to be unhauling The Traitor's Blade because, like I said, this particular version paperback is going to be much harder for me to get now that Book Depository doesn't exist. So I may, if I read the second book and absolutely love it, rebuy this series in the US editions so that I don't have to worry about them not matching. So I think I'm going to unhaul this one. Okay, now let's shift back to the other side and continue on with my traditional published fantasy. Okay, so this shelf is more traditionally published fantasy. I am going to keep the Book of Swords and the Sarah Beth Durst. I'm going to keep the Final Strife. For now, I'm going to keep Guards of the Moon. I do plan to continue in the, what is that, Malazan series, loosely. I'm scared of it, but I am going to continue and keep that one for now. Notorious Sorcerer. Do I want to keep this? I gave it a 5 on Intrigue when I was trying all of my fantasy books that I hadn't read, so I'm not sure, but I'm not sure I'm fully committed to unhauling that one yet. I don't know if I've given it a fair shot. Queen of the Storms is book 2 in a series. I'm going to keep that one, but I wasn't able to find the hardcover that wasn't in library binding, so I'm going to keep looking for the first book in that series. I think for now, there's nothing else on this shelf that I want to get rid of. We're actually going to skip the next shelf because that's my Robin Hobb shelf, and we know that nothing is leaving the Robin Hobb shelf. Once again, you're not going to be able to see me for this one, but this one has some tricky ones on it that I'm not sure if I want to keep or get rid of. Mostly just these 3. So I have the Lights of Prague, I have Archive of the Forgotten, and Library of the Unwritten. These are sequels to one another. Actually, it goes this way. And I liked this, but did not really love it, and I haven't yet read this one. So I'm like, should I just unhaul both of these? Because I don't know if and when I'm ever going to continue this series, and I actually do have them on my Kindle. So I could always rebuy them, but like, I love the covers of these. But I don't know that I'm ever going to continue these, so I think I'm going to unhaul these. As far as Lights of Prague goes, I've heard mixed things on this one, but I think I'm still interested in this, so I'm going to keep this one for now. And I think that that's all of the ones that I want to get rid of from this shelf. So I actually lied. I do have a couple that were on that shelf that I've already pulled off. I'm going to be unhauling what I have of the Wheel of Time series because I did DNF that series this year and they are huge and chunky and do not need to be taking up space on my shelves. So rather than me walking the camera all the way back down there, we're just going to move down to the last 2 shelves of this bookshelf and go over those really quickly. Okay, so for this shelf, I don't know if there's anything on here that I really just want to unhaul right now. Actually, I think I am going to unhaul Daughter of Redwinter because I have somebody that I really trust. Cassidy read the second book in the series. She liked the first book better than I did and really didn't like the second book, so I think I am going to unhaul this one and not continue in that series. In the Shadow of Lightning, for now, I am planning to continue. I do want to retry The Promise of Blood. Kingdom of Liars, I'm not 100% sure if I'm continuing in that series, but I'm not sure that I'm not, so I am going to keep that. Ordinary Monsters is just pretty. Morak I spent a lot of money on, so I don't think there's anything else on this shelf I want to get rid of right now. So let's move on to the very bottom shelf. For this one, I'm not going to be able to get you guys all the way down there, so sorry for the crappy angle, but this is about as good as it's going to get. I am unsure if there's anything on this one that I want to unhaul. I actually think that I may unhaul the Ember Blade because I read this one, did not love it, don't plan to continue on in the series, and if I decide I wanted to rebuy it, it's just a paperback that I could easily rebuy. So this is going to go on a soft unhaul. And as far as the rest of them, I don't think there's anything else I really want to unhaul. This one I've been tempted so many times, but Dad gave it to me and I do want to try that series again. So for now, I think I'm going to keep it, but it may very well be unhauled the next time you see it. Okay, so we have another shelf. This is the rest of the Dark Tower series. I'm going to keep that one for now. As far as this book goes, this is The Frozen Crown by Greta Kelly. I don't know that I'm going to keep this. I bought this on a whim when I needed another Harper Voyager book for Publisher Battle, but I literally just bought it for that video and I'm not really that interested in it. So I think if I decide to read this one, I'm probably going to just library it. So I think I'm going to get this one off the shelves. Other than that though, I don't think that there's anything that I really want to unhaul on this shelf. It's got, you know, the Nevernight series. The Babel at some point I probably will unhaul, but it's pretty and I don't think that I'm quite there yet. And then obviously my Mark Lawrence books, which we are not going to unhaul. So let's scoot down a shelf. Yeah, I don't think you guys are going to be able to see this one, so I'm just going to talk you through it. But it's got some more Mark Lawrences on it, which we're not going to be getting rid of. And then we also have the Raven Tower, which I do think by Anne Leckie, I think I'm going to get rid of this one. It is primarily written in second person and I just don't pick it up because of that. I'm never going to because it's been on my TBR for ages. So I am going to be getting rid of this one. I'm never going to read that. Other than that though, I don't think that there's anything on here that I'm going to unhaul right now. A Crown for Cold Silver very well could be in the near future, but I do want to give that first chapter another try before I fully commit to unhauling on that one. And then we've already done that last shelf, so let's move on to the very bottom two shelves down here. So you guys can't see these super well, but on this shelf we have the Empire of Silence, which I have not tried yet, so I am going to be keeping that. The Witcher series I'm going to be keeping. For now, I don't think I'm unhauling anything on this shelf. The only one I'm tempted to unhaul is the City of Last Chances by Adrian Tchaikovsky, because I read the first chapter of this and really did not like it, but my gosh, it's pretty. So I'm like, do I unhaul this? But I don't think I'm going to ever read this series, so I think I'm going to unhaul this. But I think that that's all on this shelf for right now. Then below me is my Brandon Sanderson shelf, which we're not going to unhaul anything from right now, so I don't think that there's anything else on this like fantasy side of the bookshelf. So let's flip over to my horror, thriller, and sci-fi and see if there's anything we want to get rid of over there. Okay, you guys may not be able to see these shelves super well, but this is mostly Darcy up here. We do have a couple of other things like Bunny by Mona Awad, which I honestly think that I am going to be unhauling this one. I just don't really vibe with Mona Awad's writing. I'm just keeping this because it's like a booktube book and I don't need it. So I'm going to be unhauling that one. Otherwise, I think I'm still wanting to try most of the ones that are on here. So I think I'm going to leave this shelf. But since we're standing here, let's go ahead and talk about the one right below it. This one has just a little bit of everything. It's still a horror thriller shelf. I do mix those together, which I shouldn't do, but I do that. For now, I don't see anything that I'm going to unhaul on here. I do want to try Wellfall because I bought it full price and I haven't tried it yet. So I think I'm going to keep that one for now. And the Stephen Kings are like, I kind of want to unhaul them, but they're pretty. And for now, I don't really have a good reason other than I do think that I'm going to keep these. So let's move over to the other two shelves. Okay, so we only have two shelves for like the horror, thriller, all of that fun stuff. So for this one, I don't really see anything that's just glaring at me that I want to unhaul on this shelf. Actually, I lied. I do think I'm going to unhaul Dust and Shadow by Lindsay Faye. I have said I might unhaul this about 17 times and just never do it. Not going to read this. I've had it for like 4 or 5 years. It was published in 2009. I'm not going to read it. If I do decide to read it, I can get it from the library. So this one's going to go. I don't think that there's anything else though on this shelf. So let's move down to this one. I do think that I'm going to unhaul Wrong Place, Wrong Time. I didn't dislike this book, but I'm never going to reread it. So I think I'm going to pull it off. That one's more of like a mystery. The Way of All Flesh, I also think that I'm going to unhaul. It has deckled edges. I hate it. I will read it from the library if I decide to pick this one up. This is like a historical mystery, which I haven't really been in the mood for in a really long time. So we're going to unhaul that one. I think that that's everything on this shelf though, because we've got a bunch of Riley Sager and I'm not going to unhaul the Riley Sager. I still kind of want to try Hyde before I unhaul it. So for now, I think that that's everything off of this shelf. So let's move back over. So you're not going to be able to see me as well for this shelf, but this is again still horrors and thrillers. Think there's anything on here that I'm like desperate to get rid of. I could unhaul Escape Room, but I actually want to save that potentially for a readathon because it's really, really short. I want to try Chestnut Man again. I want to try the rest of the Catriona Award. We have some Ruth Ware. The Wanderers is one that I could potentially unhaul. I actually think I am going to unhaul this one because a couple of people that I trust said that I will not like this book. So I think I'm going to unhaul this one, but keep the Book of Accidents for right now. And then on this shelf, we're starting to move into sci-fi. And I don't really see anything on here that I want to unhaul right now. I'm a little bit scared of Infinity Gate, but it is a book box book that's really pretty. So I am going to keep that one for now. Dead Silence, I do want to try Ascension. This has my Red Rising series, which I'm definitely going to be keeping. So for now, I don't really see anything I want to unhaul on this shelf. So let's move back down. Okay, and then this is continuing on my sci-fi shelf. Again, I don't see anything that I'm just dying to unhaul from this shelf right now. I could be waited to unhaul Wool at some point because I didn't love that one, but I have heard that Shift is a little bit better, so I want to try that one. The Rig, I still need to read, so I don't think there's anything on this shelf I want to get rid of. And then moving on to this other sci-fi shelf, again, I don't think that there's anything I'm just dying to unhaul. Those last ones are my Skyward series, so we're going to keep those. For now, I am going to keep the Velocity Weapons series, which you guys can't really see, but this one. I didn't just adore that first book, but I don't know, there's something about it that makes me want to potentially try book 2, so I'm going to keep that for now. So let's keep moving down. So continuing on in the sci-fi vein, we have these last 2 shelves here. I don't think that there's anything on these shelves that I really want to get rid of right now. I'm keeping the Bone Season for sure. These were a couple of self-published sent to me by the authors. Obviously keeping Project Hail Mary. I do still want to try the Starbringer, so I'm keeping all of these, I think, still. These are middle grade shelves, and I'm not really reading a lot of middle grade right now, but I don't have a lot of it, and there are some pretty nostalgic things on here, like the V.E. Schwab. I love these. Jessica Townsend. Those were just a lot of fun. I do think I'm going to potentially be unhauling, and they're not even in the right place anyway. At some point, these Keepers of the Lost Cities, because I don't think I plan to continue that series, so I don't need to keep those, but I just don't want to fool with those for right now, and I have room on these shelves, so we're going to leave those for now. And then over here in the dark dank corner where you can't really see anything behind my chair, we have more middle grade, which again, for now, I think I am going to keep because, like I said, there's just not a lot. I don't need the room on these, and they're kind of a pain to get off the shelves. And then we have romance down here at the bottom. Don't need some of these. So I'm going to be unhauling Daisy Jones and the Six. I don't want that one anymore. I'm going to be unhauling the Happily Ever After playlist. I will never reread that. I think that that's everything. I think I'm going to keep the rest of them. The Sophie Larks and stuff I'm going to keep. But yeah, that's my romance shelf. Okay, friends, so I think that that is all of my shelves. There are quite a few of them. I managed to get rid of a decent amount of books. I think it was like 27, 28 books. So I'm going to consider that a win. Actually, there's more because there's like 30 with the Wheel of Time series. So yeah, I think that I have gotten a decent amount off. Hopefully I can get the rest of my books on now. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this unhaul with me. If you are in the comments just hanging out and want to let me know that you were here, leave me a shocked emoji for how much I was managed to get off of my shelves. As always, links to my Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads all in the description box down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!